I'm very sorry, but most wisdom on the internet about landing pages is wrong. Here's what I did. I told AI to generate me a really good selling landing page. Then I read the book, which is called Breakthrough Advertisement. And now I know how to improve that. And that's what we're going to do in this video. I think most people treat landing pages like a design project, like pick a template, rearrange some blocks, and there you go. But I think that the landing page is not really a digital real estate that represents your product. I think that it's more like an educational story that you tell to your users. And this story has exactly two rules. And the first rule is very simple. Every single line on the landing page should exist only for one reason. And that reason is to make user read the next sentence. And the rule number two is that headline is everything. I mean, people read almost nothing else. People actually scan, they don't really read step by step. And the only thing they read reliably is the headline. So if your headline is weak, the rest of the page is functionally invisible. Now, a lot of people would nod at these rules and then immediately ignore them. They're just gonna go on their landing page and put a description of their product in their headline. They write a headline that describes their product, not the desire of the user, and then wonder why nobody scrolls. So let's unpack what these rules means in practice. So what I did is that I generated the AI page and I threw all of the knowledge that I have on it. And we would go exactly through each section one by one and fix everything. That way you would not be guessing when you're going to be building yours. And first comes the most important part of any landing page. This is the hero section. So here's what AI actually gave me. The headline reads like a call to action, not really as a desire trigger. It tells you what not to do, but it doesn't make you feel like you need it. And that is the exact moment the page can lose the user. First thing first comes the desire. Really important to remember that you cannot really invent desire on a landing page. And I see founders try to do this all the time. They think if they write the perfect headline, they can make someone want something they did not want before. And this is not how it works. Desire exists outside of the page. It exists in the nature. Your job is not to create it, really. Your job is to channel this desire, because again, it exists outside. So let's take a look at this hero section. This is the ground zero for most mistakes. People want to pack everything into the hero. They want to pack the logo, the navigation, the headline, the subheadline, the CTA, a video, some social proof logos, maybe a little illustration, and everything on everything. And that's actually wrong, because the hero has only one reason to exist. It needs to hook the viewer and make them read further. So the headline should be about the user's desire, nothing else. But here's the thing, most markets are solution aware. And that means that the user knows that the problem exists and they know that tools exist to fix it, but they might not know that your tool specifically exists. So putting your tool name in the headline is actually a waste at this point. That's because the users don't care about your tool at this point. They care about the result. Now, the headline is also a filter. This is a very counterintuitive point. A lot of people think a great headline attracts everyone, and that is kind of wrong. A great headline repels the wrong audience as aggressively as it attracts the right one, because desire is specific, and if you attract everyone, you convert no one. But here's one little nuance here. Not all of the solution-aware users are the same. Some want results right now, and this is a hot desire. Some are researching, they comparing options, and that's a warm desire. Some have been burned by previous tools and are very skeptical. That is cold. Your headline must match the emotional temperature of your market. Now here's another very important layer here. Your headline should also implicitly invalidate the competition, if you can do that. That's because in mature markets, people carry the frustration from the previous solutions, from the things that did not work. And your headline should implicitly invalidate those previous bad solutions. And then there's a micro-tension. This is the greatest secret, because if the headline does not create curiosity and just gives you the full explanation, the user instantly loses any specific reason to read further. And if it's too vague, then nobody cares. The best headlines almost complete the thought but leave a small gap. What is that thing that tools don't want me to know? And that question, that's what pulls user into reading the sub-headline. Knowing all that, I changed big AI-generated stop rewriting scripts that bleed viewers with stronger get more views now. This is a hot desire, it creates urgency, and it filters people who are not connected to YouTube from the start. It does not really invalidate competition, but that because the desire is extremely hot and I decided to double down on urgency here and not on invalidation. So keep in mind that the hero section sells the right to keep reading. Do not try to sell the product here. Do not explain everything, just hold back. Let the user lean in. Now the subheadline. Most people treat it as an extra explanation, and that is wrong. The subheadline is qualification, it's framing, and it's an expectation control. So if the headline earns attention, the subheadline decides if that attention is productive or wasted. The subheadline should correct the wrong mental version of your product. That's because when people read the headline, they build a certain mental model in their head, and usually it's kind of far from reality. This model is probably wrong, and the subheadline exists here to correct it. After reading your subheadline, the user should feel that this is exactly for me, not like this might be for me. The very important thing here is that it should also describe the moment before your product becomes necessary, because this is what makes it powerful. So here's the AI version, and it is a description of a process, then denial, then explanation. That sounds robotic, right? Watch what happens when I flip it to your videos will get way more impressions if viewers watch longer. That line does two things. It gives a specific useful tip that more views come from the impressions, which comes from longer watch time. And it filters out anyone who doesn't get YouTube's mechanics. So now the subheadline works harder. Then it's time for CTA, call to action. It is the moment of commitment inside of a controlled narrative. A strong CTA should feel like it's the only sensible next move. Weak CTAs are submit or learn more or click this. Strong CTAs are get instant access, start building, just receive something. But even that is a surface level. You have to actually match the call to action to user's emotional state. If the user is curious, the CTA should escalate curiosity into entry, something like see how it works. If skeptical, it should reduce risk, something like try without credit card, or maybe both together. Before clicking, the user asks the question, what am I losing if I'm gonna click this button? And strong CTAs, they reduce this perceived risk. Start free, for example, signals zero loss. Get instant access signals no waiting. And only one primary call to action per screen. Multiple call to actions, they confuse the user, obviously. Confused users, they leave. The call to action itself is a compressed promise of what happens after the click. If user cannot predict the next 10 seconds after clicking, the conversion drops significantly. And AI wrote start free here, but I wrote create unskippable script free. Smaller perceived loss, controlled narrative, and higher conversion. Now it's time for hero visual, and this is a massive mistake zone. The hero visual is not a branding space. In high converting pages, it functions as a comprehension accelerator. It is not showing the product. It should show the result state. 90% of pages, they show dashboards or like app interfaces, because the visual should show the user what happens after the transformation, like the result. So if the headline is desire, the visual is proof of arrival. The visual must instantly answer what this is, how it behaves, and what changes because of it. No effort required from the user's brain. Conversion happens when the user is being reminded with their current pain by showing them the final result. Now, if you use motion, apply the 2-second rule. If meaning is not extracted within 2 seconds, the visual is functionally invisible. You should have one dominant idea, one path, and one outcome. Mismatch between the headline and visual is actually fatal, because if the headline channels the desire and makes a promise, and the visual does not support it, the really significant distrust appears inside of the user's brain. Even if they both strong independently, the mismatch, that clash, destroys trust. AI didn't do anything, so I made a graph. That's one line moves, the view count ticks up, and the 2-second rule is baked into the animation itself. Your eye follows the curve, extracts the meaning, and confirms the headline claim before 2 seconds passes. So it's pretty much understandable instantly. Then comes the social proof strip. Social proof is usually treated as a trust signal, but it is really the authority borrowing under uncertainty, because it reduces the perceived risk of being wrong for choosing you. Think of your social proof as like the first anti-exit mechanism. It's not really a persuasion tool yet, it's like a friction remover. It keeps the user scrolling into the problem section. So here's the thing, I didn't add social proof to my own landing page yet, but if you have testimonials, this is exactly where they go, right between the hero and the problem section. At least one of them, maybe the best one. And why? Because after the user sees you, the next thought is this for someone like me? Now the problem statement section. This is the second screen, and here's the key. The user should not be learning something new here. They should be recognizing something already believed but unspoken. High-performing problem section surfaces the truth about how the user behaves. The core idea here is to identify and to name the specific loop that your user is stuck in, because pain itself is not persuasive. And this section must imply that this process is happening. It just keeps reoccurring, that it's been tried before. That creates a sense of inevitability about the solution. Really important thing to remember is that users do not identify with problems. They identify with loops that they are stuck in. They should think, oh yeah, I always end up doing X, or every time I do Y, Z happens. This is the core thing. Your job is to make the user mentally not in this section. Here's the tactic. The best thing you can do before introducing the solution is to remove any satisfaction that exists with the current state. That creates forward motion. The user must feel that staying where they are is actually unacceptable. Now, the AI made just a terrible page for me. It has multiple explanations, 3 segments, and walls of text. To be fair, if I would have been a user, I would bounce immediately right at this point. That's why I decided to identify just one specific to my niche loop and stick to it. If I am a YouTuber and I am trying to break out from that loop, I would definitely mentally not here. At the same time, this loop brings me back from initial here section euphoria back to why am I here? Now let's go to the solution section. I initially assumed it answers how does this work? And that is incorrect. Solution answers, is this going to be complicated for me? If the answer is no, it's not going to be complicated for you, then the user mentally moves forward. AI didn't do a terrible job here, but it is still too vague and kind of too verbose. I remade it in clear. Creating high retention scripts is actually easy, which signals simplicity and added first full outcome of what that user gets. So when they come here, they immediately know that it would be easy to get what they want, and they would know what exactly they would get. But then comes explanation and steps. Here's the classic rule. Use the 3 steps rule. Just because 1 step feels oversimplified and suspicious, 2 feels kind of incomplete, and 4, it just feels too much. So 3 is a sweet spot. So each step must feel like a low effort transformation. Most landing pages describe actions instead of transitions. User processes steps as a state. They don't process it like tasks. They do not read steps as a to-do list. They process them as like states that they are moving through. And you need to create relief. And the relief that you're aiming for is that they have to feel that the state of cleanliness that they are coming from out of this mess that they are in right now is can only be possible with your solution. Founders think that the solution should present capability. It is not. The hidden job of the solution section is to replace the unknown in the user's brain with a predictable visual path. Just keep in mind, the user should always provide just the minimum effort. The app should do the heavy lifting. It organizes, your app builds, your app does, whatever. Now, in our case, AI hallucinated a lot here. Output reads like something comprehensive, but the problem is once you dig even an inch deep into that, you're gonna instantly feel that the loop that AI described is absolutely broken. That's because AI cannot really understand meaning of things, right? But we have me, and I changed pretty much everything here. So I made clear steps which feel like a very low effort transformations. I also added simple visuals of the UI, so the user has a mental screenshot already when they arrive to the action. A strong 3-step structure creates the illusion that this is basically immediate. Once the user is convinced that it is easy, you must give them their time back. Now the features and benefits. Simple rule: do not list features. Each feature equals what it does plus why it matters to the user. A feature is a fact, and a benefit is a feeling of a result. Now, social proof, deeper level, I've put generic generated reviews here just for illustration, but I highly advise you not to put fake reviews on your landing page, just because fake testimonials are extremely easy to spot. And if user even smells a tiny bit of fake, they would leave immediately and they would never come back. The rule of thumb is that specific metrics always beat the vague comments. Save 10 hours a week is better than, oh, just great product. If you don't have testimonials yet, use beta users' quotes or reviews. The goal is to make the user feel that the outcome is achievable. Now the pricing section. 3 options maximum. Don't put like 8 or like 9 of them. Highlight the recommended or popular tier to guide the decision. Users need to see what they get for their money. Include feature lists, but keep them scannable. Here's where the free launch comes in. I've put a big free sign with one-click CTA and added no credit card required at the very top. Why? Because users see the free trial but give us your credit card first trick from miles away. I removed that requirement so that the user knows that the pass is actually safe. The popular choice creates a social proof anchor. And I know that like everybody does that, but still, highlighting one tier as most popular implicitly suggests that it's a safer choice. It's like one little tippy top that you can put on it, like one little pin that kind of, does 1% of the job. Now the question section, most people think that questions exist solely for educational reasons, but it's not exactly that. Questions section exists to remove like the last reasons to say no. Just think about your conversion, think about yourself as a user, ask your users if you can, and then extract 3 or 5 questions that actually block conversion and then answer them. Common ones are free trial, differences from the competitors, and suitability. I did a pretty good job here. I've just replaced the last one because I for some reason hallucinated some weird stuff in it. AI can do a pretty good job with the section like that because it's just basically a summarization. Now there's this final CTA. Here just repeat the main call to action. Reinforce the value, reduce any remaining risk. Again, no credit card required, stuff like that. And then the footer. It's where you get your privacy policy, terms of service, contact, and a copyright notice and stuff like that. But like most people neglect it. But the reason why it matters is that it's like your first line of defense against internet trolls and surface level legal problems. Just keep in mind that the internet trolls, sometimes they appear, like nobody expects that, but it happens. Just don't think about this too much. Just let AI handle the stuff, create the separate pages for privacy policy and stuff like that. Just like don't forget it. Just do it. Now let me tie this all up to those 2 rules that we started with. Every second that we discussed from here to footer serves only one purpose: to make the user read the next sentence. The headline is still the most important line. If you remember nothing else, remember those 2 rules. You can pick up a skill for AI that I've made specifically for creating landing page like that based on this book, Breakthrough Advertisement, on my website, absolutely for free, no strings attached. And if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by the modern world and maybe building alone, just watch my video on agency so you kind of know where the wind blows.